Atlas, end of season 2, and what an amazing season it has been. I have been through some very interesting times with some very interesting friends that I've made. I remember we started, we returned after a brief hiatus. Freeport, sloop, off we go. We landed in M6. We were alright for about a week or so. We established a nice little preliminary thought, haphazard as it is when you always land on an island where you're not expecting to go, lawless region. And it was alright, had a few ships. I think I built Hardestadt the Younger, and my first iteration of the Lucindy. Well, that went well for probably about, I don't know, I'd say about 2 to 3 weeks, until Hellraisers decided they wanted to take an issue with it. There was very little we could do. We were wiped out in, I'd say, one night, which was unfortunate. So Hellraisers had us marked, and we figured, right, we need to get out of here. We need to get as far away from here because they're going to be looking for us, because we did, in fact, annoy them substantially when we killed part of their raiding party. Anyway, so off we went. No intention, just on some random, I think we're on a, yes, no, we were on my good friend Captain Glitchy, who had joined us by that time, me and Lady Phoenica, and we had fled on the ILS Explorer. No idea where we were going, but we got hell far away from them, from Hellraisers. Landed in B8. Everything was alright. Top Island 57 B8 for probably, I would say, almost 3 or 4 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks we built a lovely middle base, filled with puckle guns and ammunition, you name it. It was a nice little spring water spot. I don't know if it will exist on the next map, but definitely check it out if you're ever passing through. I built myself a nice beach fort. Big spiral tower, cannons and stuff like that. It was good to go. We had island top heavy base, where all the gold and things were, and a very secret base in the middle, which I don't think anyone ever found. So testament to our architectural planning. It went well. There was myself at that stage, Commando, gentleman by the name of Scoot, and as always, Redis. That's right, we actually didn't get out of there on the Explorer, we got out of there on the bloody Ranger's Revenge, that's right. Redis's bloody sloop, that's right. Anyway, we were fine there for a time, until Bully Time decided to arrive. And they arrived. A gentleman by the name of Mr. Frank Reynolds and co. managed to decimate the entire bloody beachfront until the point where they had actually killed and, not killed, stunned and captured Captain Glitchy, aka Commando. I tried as hard as I could to actually blast that ship of Reynolds out of the water, but they spotted my cannons and immediately blew them up. There was not a lot I could do as only one person, but we held out for a long time. That was on the second day. On the first day, they had tried to take out the Explorer, and we fled. Phoenica had jumped off the ship and left the ILS Explorer, which was the scooter we built floating in the ocean. I wasn't going to stand for that, so I flew around in the Hound, got us as close broadside as we could, and ordered it to jump off and take it, and we just fled. The invading Bully Time on the first day, they came in on a sloop with speed sails, which I figured I would just ram into oblivion, and sunk them. Nearly sunk myself, but we got out. The Hound did not survive day 2, which brings us up to where we are with Bully Time capturing Mr. Captain Glitchy, who was then imprisoned on the ship for about 8 hours. I will leave him at another point in time to give his own recount of the story, but suffice to say he was extremely abusive on microphone for the whole 8 hours, saying things that one would definitely not say in front of polite company. Anyway, there was a method to his madness. He was actually trying to get the individual riled up, because he was American, you see, Mr. Frank Reynolds. Anyway, eventually he slipped up. They had to beat him into submission again to be able to actually get out, as it was, yes? So when they came downstairs to beat him and feed him, he was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're hitting guillotine. You know, you've got to let me out of the guillotine to be able to knock me out, you fool." Because he had noticed that the person behind him had left the door open. Anyway, for whatever reason, this man lets him out of guillotine, and Glitchy runs, jumps over the back of the ship, dives down the water, drowns himself. The ruckus that this caused on the Atlas Community Discord. People don't escape bully time when you're a prisoner. They transport you to a prison camp. You're there until the end of time. He managed to get out. Yes. Meanwhile, I'm back at B8 preparing a ship called the Lucindy to get out of there with the remaining resources, because I know they're coming back. Anyway, he manages to get out of this. We have no idea how he managed to persuade this individual to let him out of the guillotine, but he does through copious amounts of abuse, and he's killed himself. Comes back to the ship. The next day, Mr. Reynolds comes looking for us. We're there preparing the Lucindy and everything like that and putting cargo on. We just see his name come into the quarter where he's like, Commando, Captain Glitchy's like, drop it. We're out of there. Only problem is, we now have no base, no allies aside from our casual friends in Dreadfangs that we met, and we now have only the resources on the skin of our back. So we're like, alright, fine. What are we doing from here? Well, we went over and met up with Dreadfangs, who are a lovely bunch of people. All of them were first introduced by Captain Hux. And they were exceptionally hospitable to us. Couldn't recommend them higher. Very hospitable people. If you're, well, not their enemy, anyway. A little bit of a story how we became friends with them, but I'll leave that for the sake of it's past that section. But we've been moving with them from island to island to island. There was a bit of an internal mutiny until eventually we went our separate ways from the initial company with a few of the Dreadfangs people up until the final days of probably the past 4 or 5 days. Well, that was very interesting, so they decided to take the entire fleet of ships into oblivion. Less than 24 hours ago. As of now, everything is sunk. Everything is gone. I logged in right to see one of our enemies blasting with a galleon the last of our fortifications. My ship, my last ship, the Bubblegum Princess, of course, rest in peace, was sunk. All the other ships were sunk. I found myself on an island, back at the free port nearby, wondering how I was going to get out of there. Luckily, ran into 2 and 3 individuals from a group called the Company of Holy Erectus, interesting name, and the gentleman and his girlfriend quite happily sailed me out after all these adventures back to B8, where I promptly went to the monkey cave, as it was, the skull cave, set up a fortification, and there it is. And now it's the end. Back to where I started from. All the best for the next season, people. It was a fantastic season, and I look forward to seeing you all again on the other side.